What's up, Cam?
Not much, Mitch. How are you?
I'm doing well. It is snowing outside right now, which makes me just slightly
Welcome to
unhappy.
April.
It should have happened yesterday. It would have seemed more appropriate on
Well,
April Fool's.
I woke up yesterday to snow on the roof of my house and on my car, so
Yeah.
I got that one for you covered. Don't worry.
Well, it's WrestleMania weekend.
Woohoo!
Yeah, it's just before we came on, we were looking at the card for tonight and tomorrow night, and yeah, there's nothing that really gets me excited about this one. So maybe it's because I haven't watched it in a while, and you haven't either. So
Yeah,
there's a rumor that apparently Seth Rollins has a mystery opponent. And
mm-hmm.
there's a rumor saying that Cody Rhodes is coming back.
Yeah, but you know who else is in Dallas?
Oh, I just saw this yesterday.
Bray Wyatt.
Yes, Bray Wyatt is.
Mm-hmm. So that would be quite the swerve if they brought him back. But
yeah,
I also saw a rumor that Cody's going to back out last second.
Yeah,
because part of me wondered this whole time, like, because Cody was one of the founding guys of AEW after leaving WWE because he wasn't getting booked. He was stuck in the stupid Stardust gimmick that they wouldn't let him out of. And so part of me is like, why would the first person to go from AEW to WWE be one of the founding guys? Like, is this not just going to be a classic like Monday Night War move where he pretends to come, like this whole thing has just been a setup and he's pretending to come back just to screw WWE over the day of WrestleMania, only to go back to AEW Dynamite, on whatever day that is, and be like, hey, guess what? I didn't really actually leave. Like that would get all of the media attention.
Yeah.
Right. And just piss Vince off beyond. It would be like, I've been secretly hoping that's been the plan this whole time because it would be so maniacal.
Oh, and it would be hilarious if they had a backup plan for it too.
Yeah, Hornswoggle dressed up as Stardust.
That would be funny. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I almost want to watch now just to see what happens. Yes, I would sit through a lot of bad matches to see that happen. So, But anyway, so have you had a chance to play with Universal Control yet?
No, because I don't ever have my MacBook and my iPad open at the same time.
Yeah.
Like ever.
Well, I have them connected right now. So, I can move my cursor quite seamlessly over to my MacBook and back to my iMac. And I've done this with my my iPad in the setup as well. It works seamlessly. It works great. Only thing that I've had problems with is dropping one of them. Every once in a great while, one of them will drop out, and I'll have to reconnect to it.
Okay, I'm glad you clarified because I was like, why are you dropping your MacBook? Like, why are you picking it up in the first place? Well, that's a silly thing to do.
It's dropping its connection.
Yeah, I know.
Gravy.
I heard too that you can drag and drop files from one to the other with Universal Control.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool.
I haven't really had the opportunity to do that yet, but or at least not a lot. But yeah, I tried that the other day. Actually, now that I think of it. And I
wonder if it's just using like AirDrop, but you just have a physical aspect to it other than clicking a button on one and a button on the other that, it's when you drag from one to the other, it's auto connecting the AirDrop connection.
Yeah,
I'm curious if that's how they're doing it. I mean, that would make sense to me.
Some people have proposed that it's the universal clipboard feature that's making a lot of this stuff possible. So, because there was this
thought of that.
Yeah, there was this video going around recently about being able to do like a 3-finger swipe on the iPad, pick something up and put it on another iPad with 3 fingers. So you're picking it up and putting it down. And somebody exposed that and said, yeah, that's just the 3-finger copy and paste gesture that's in iPad OS. And it looks cool because a universal clipboard allows you to pick it up and put it down on another device. So it's not supposed to be like a feature where you can just pick one up and put it down somewhere else. It's actually just the way the gesture works. So it's interesting. You'll have to try that on your iPads and report back.
Yes,
if it
yes, I
works
will.
for you. I don't have two iPads right now. I just still have my old one. Which it's funny because I have everything else, but I don't have that. It's supposed to be coming here on Monday. So
Exciting.
yeah, I have my case and I have my my Apple Pencil for it because I had to order the Apple Pencil second generation because all I have is the first generation. But
dude, the second one's awesome.
Yeah,
I love it.
I'm looking forward to it. And we did talk about it on the last show, and I'll just mention this quickly. I did decide to do the trade-in. Unfortunately, I waited a little bit, and it went from 130 to 125, so I lost $5 for waiting, like a month from between. So I'm not arguing, but that covered the price of the pencil. So
yeah, it's weird that it dropped $5.
Yeah, well, it goes down over time. What is really odd is I was checking on how much the trade-in value was for the different devices that I have. This iMac I've had for about a year. I paid a lot for it. I think I was a little over $3,000 for it. Guess how much the trade-in value on this is?
$417.48.
It's not quite that bad. It's like $885. But that's still like a lot. I mean, I'm sure I could go online and sell it for a lot more, but it's like, if I wanted to go get a Mac Studio and get the studio display and start like revamping my setup here, which I don't want to do. But if I did want to do that and I wanted to trade this in, $800 doesn't seem like a whole lot of money to get back for it.
No, not considering what you paid for it, but right. You never get full value on trade-in because they need to make a profit off of selling it to somebody else.
So. Oh no, I totally get it. If they're gonna charge $1,600 for it, that seems like a good price, or it's a good trade-in value. But you can get more than that for it. I'd be surprised if you get under $2,000 for it. So, but at any rate, it is an Intel machine, so maybe that's a problem for people. I don't know. But I'm happy with it. I'm not going to be getting rid of it anytime soon. So we got two big app updates this week that I'm really excited to talk about. Have you tried these yet?
Yeah, I didn't realize that Overcast had gotten updated till I opened it the other day, and I was like, what is going on here?
I kind of had the same experience. I didn't hear.
Oh my, yeah, I was like, no.
I think it was like
no, please.
It was like a week ago, Thursday or Friday that it updated.
Yeah.
So you're in the I don't like this camp.
I've always been in the Marco's not a designer camp.
Okay.
I've always been in that camp. So yeah, it's there's a few useful things like the recent so you've got your like your playlist, your all episodes deleted, that sort of stuff. Then right below that you've got like your recent played podcast. I find that helpful. I don't understand why these buttons are the size of the phone. Like,
oh, you're talking about the playlist?
Yeah.
Yeah, he
like,
talked of,
and the way that they're set up, like
Radar this last week. So
the left, there's a circular icon on the left, and then there's the title of the playlist, and then there's a giant gap to the right, and it looks like the exact same UI you use to turn your phone off. So I was like, oh, do I slide this to get into the? Oh no, it's just a giant button that doesn't have center. Just like it's, I don't understand. I don't.
Well,
do I still use Overcast all the time?
Yeah. The nice thing about it is you could probably get rid of the playlist if you wanted to, the way this works now, with recently listened to, and then being able to pin your favorite podcasts at the top of the list. And the list that he has down below that now actually allows you to eliminate, just see unlistened to podcasts and archived podcasts, as well as just the complete list of your podcasts. So it's actually a lot more useful. The home screen is a lot more useful than it used to be. instead of just being this enormous list of podcasts split into two groups. So I like it.
I mean, yeah, I thought it was fine the way it was. So maybe I'm just being one of those,
you're being an old man.
Exactly. Exactly.
Adverse to change.
But like I said, I still use Overcast. I just have to get used to the new screen and get to the shows that I want to listen to. So,
yeah, I think it's a nice little visual upgrade. He talked about it a lot on ATP and Radar this last week. And I honestly, I don't usually listen to Radar, but I heard that he was going to talk about this on the show this week. So I tuned in because I kind of wanted to hear his methodology behind what he's doing. And this is part one of a greater overhaul. He's got, like, he wants to redo the player as well, to simplify some of the controls and stuff like that. And just his whole like point to what he's doing is that his wife Tiffany showed him some of the other podcast apps that are used in some, like Pinterest and some other apps that are using more modern design that a lot of the apps are using now. And so he's taking that cue to add that into or to change Overcast to kind of match some of those looks and functionality and such. So
Did you say Pinterest has a podcast player?
No, just that it was another app that he had looked at to draw inspiration from.
Super.
So it's one that she showed him.
Gotcha.
So
if we start getting mood boards inside of Overcast, I am so switching to a different app.
I would probably agree with you on that. We'll see. Maybe it'll be done in a fun way.
Are there other podcasts that have ripped off his smart speed yet? Other podcast apps?
Either Caster or Pocket Casts, I think, has done something similar to it.
All right.
I've looked at both of those apps, and I didn't like the interface on either one of those apps, but that's just me.
I will be doing some research.
Yeah, but I think and I threw in the show notes his explanation from Marco.org of just all the changes and everything. So if you're listening and you want to go check that out, it does show side-by-side comparisons and stuff like that from the old app to the new app, and some of the functionality that has been changed. So not super crazy, but there's enough changes in here that it has been off-putting for some users. So Carrot Weather had a big update this week too.
Yeah, let's talk about it. Let's talk about an update that I like. Did you like this one?
I did. I actually changed some stuff around to work with it, so that I could get like the air quality. I don't know what to call it.
Do you have what's your subscription level? Don't you have a pretty high one for?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because some of the stuff that I was like, oh, that's cool, requires like the ultimate, like whatever.
I'm an ultra member.
Yeah, I am not. So I was like, oh, those sound cool, but I'm not paying extra. But the one that I really enjoyed.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry. Then I'll let you wax eloquent about the ultra stuff, because that's the stuff that I was like, oh, that actually sounds really cool. But I obviously can't test it. Is one of the things that he added to the layouts was the like the daily forecast is now there's now a horizontal chart instead of you had vertical stack, horizontal stack, and vertical chart, but you didn't have a horizontal one. And what that means is that before on the weather, the days were the y-axis. So, Monday, Tuesday, starting at the top, and then the temperature was the x-axis going across, which was fine.
Is that the one you're talking about?
But yeah, so this is the new one, which I have exactly on my phone too. I love it. So much better, because a high is a high, so it should be up top, and a low is a low. So like the temperature should be the y-axis, and the days should be like that's just how it like it's the exact same information as the other way, but this just visually helps. Like, oh, look, the highs are going up. Oh no, it's starting Tuesday. The highs are going way down, and so I love it's just a simple change to the chart, but I can now so much more easily and more comfortably just based on how I've always looked at weather charts. Look at this and go, all right, Tuesday this week is going to be the nicest day. Boom. And I can move on. So I really, really like that chart. But now I'm interested to hear your thoughts on the ultra stuff.
Well, to be honest with you, I don't have a list of what qualifies as ultra versus the other set, because I'm an ultra member. It doesn't give me a list of like what I would be missing if I wasn't.
Oh man! All right, well, let me pull up.
Well, I can tell you how much I use them and how much I like them, but just before we do that, for those of you who don't quite understand what we're talking about with the vertical stack or however it is, it basically gives you a vertical line for your weather every day that shows you the high and the low, and it changes based on like how like on Wednesday I'm looking at 50 degrees for a high. Well, on next Saturday, I'm looking at 46. Well, the bar is actually higher in the vertical layout than it is on Saturday. So you visually can see more information without having to like figure it out as you're going. So,
and there's nice, pretty color gradients too.
It is. It's really pretty too. Mm-hmm. So what do I have that you don't have? And I can tell you how much I'm enjoying and what I'm not.
All right. So there is, for Premium Ultra, you can view forecasts for up to 5 of your favorite locations on the location screen.
Okay. That's fun because I have you on there.
All right. And then there's new layout sections for solar, moon, air quality, pollen, or tide sections.
Yep. I have the air quality one right underneath my hourly weather. So it's right towards the top because I have allergies and sometimes it's nice to know if I'm going to have a bad day.
You walk outside and get smacked in the face with some pollen.
Oh, yeah. I'm going to have a really bad day today. It's good right now. The air quality is at 41, which seems like an arbitrary number, but the solar and the moon, I have those on the page there. And so you can see solar shows you where you are as far as the sun up and sun down. And then you get, for the moon, you get like what phase you're in. So right now we're in waxing crescent. So
that sounds like a yoga position.
Yeah, it does. bad 90s alternative band.
And then new radar station. You use the correlation coefficient product to identify hail and tornadic debris in severe storms.
Yeah. Haven't had a need for that yet.
Yeah. So those are the big ones, obviously, the layout stuff. So
yeah, one of the things that I know that was a big upsell for Carrot was getting like lightning notifications, which I enjoy those in the spring and summer when we have a lot of storms come through. So, sometimes that's how I know we have a storm coming through. Because you don't see it coming, and then all of a sudden you get a lightning notification. It's like, oh, there's a storm in the area, and then I check my radar, and oh, sure enough, there's a storm that's going to be here in like 20 minutes. So,
yeah, we do get ourselves some pretty decent thunderstorms in this area of the country.
We do. It's just one of the many things that we love about living in the Midwest.
Mm-hmm. This is true.
But. All right. Did you have anything else you wanted to add to that?
I downloaded Pocket Casts while we were talking because it does have the trim silence feature. So
okay,
we're gonna run that back and see how it goes.
I did think it was interesting to be able to look at like the locations list. So you can now look at like different locations, because I have like the town that I work in can sometimes be slightly different than where I'm at. I have Orlando just because I hate myself and I want to make sure that I can be like, oh crap, they got way better weather than us. And then of course I have your weather in there just because that, when we're planning on a show and there might be a weather topic, I can look at it and see, oh yeah, well he's had about the same kind of weather that I've been having or whatever. So
Yeah, we lost power this morning.
yeah.
I was a little concerned that we weren't going to have power and or internet by the time we had to record the show, but about 45 minutes beforehand, it popped back on. So
very good. Other than that, like there's, I went ahead and threw those into show notes for everybody. So you guys can look at, I did not have anything directly from Carrot as far as the updates, but I did give you a good link for Mac Stories that goes through and kind of highlights a lot of the changes and updates and everything. So there's apparently some modifications to the map, which I think that when you look at everything that Carrot Weather offers, and then they have this great radar map feature too. It's just, I think this has gone from the snarky little, I'm going to make fun of you because you live where you live and you get weather, to this just really robust, amazing weather app. I think it is the best weather app available out there right now.
But you still get the snark.
You still get the snark. Yeah, absolutely. So I'm sure there was a comment at some point this week about Will Smith slapping us.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. I forget what it was, but it made me laugh.
Yeah. Oh, I saw some stuff on Instagram because I didn't watch the Oscars, and I saw some stuff on Instagram, and I'm like, what is going on? So I had to look it up on YouTube. And I'm like, dude, he just walked up and slapped him. So, yeah. Apparently, we should not talk about his wife.
We're just gonna move on. I don't want to.
All right. So you had some topics that you threw on the show notes today. Was there anywhere you wanted to start with these?
No, I just kind of threw in a bunch of ideas, and if we get through all of them, great. If not, that's fine. Is there anyone on the list that stands out to you as
So what I think would be hilarious. I did not do anything to my phone because I didn't want to taint this, but I liked one of the questions that you had on here because I've thought that it'd be hilarious every once in a while for us to do ambush questions. And the idea would be, hey, like, what's the last app you downloaded on your phone? Quick, you go to recents and show recently added apps. Mm-hmm. And my most recently added app was Magic Lasso ad blocker.
Well, mine before this morning was TikTok, but now it's Pocket Casts, which
Pocket Casts.
Yeah, you're which I just downloaded. So technically it's Pocket Casts.
Pocket Casts. But we can make fun of you about TikTok, right?
Well, dude, there's so much good stand-up comedy clips on there. Like literally my whole feed is just comedians.
Yeah.
I have been crying. I've been laughing so hard.
Did I ever tell you what my experience was with TikTok was?
I'm not sure.
So I downloaded TikTok.
Uh-huh.
I opened the app and the first thing I saw was just a bunch of girls dancing.
I
shut the app, deleted it, and was done with it. So
yeah, you got to teach it not to show you that stuff.
Man, I don't need to see like young 20 something year old girls shaking themselves. I just get enough of that on Instagram right now.
So. Yeah, it's bad. But it's I have liked enough stand-up comedy videos that literally that's all it shows me.
Yeah.
Is either stand-up comedians or like people in their houses telling jokes. Like, so for me, it's just if I want to laugh, I go to TikTok now, but I had to teach it. Don't show me the scantily clad ladies in the bikinis.
Yeah.
Because I liked enough other stuff that it was like, okay, we're not going to show him anything else.
Yeah.
But yeah, you gotta get past the, all the thirst traps, as they say.
Yeah. Do they say that?
All right. Apparently that's what the kids call them.
So you do have on here what you downloaded. What's the last one you downloaded to your phone and why? Mm-hmm. So I think we got the why from you on TikTok and Pocket Cast. The why for me for Magic Lasso is I went to a website the other day. I want to say it was maybe 9to5Mac or Mac Stories, or it was like a reputable website that had some tech news on it that I wanted to read. And no joke, I opened up the app, or I opened up Safari. I was in the app trying to read the content of the page, and it was just one thing popping up after another.
Mhm.
Like all of a sudden there was like a full page I don't know, like popover that wanted to sell me something. And so I dismissed that. And then I got the cookies thing from the bottom and I dismissed that. And then there was something that pulled out from the side and I dismissed that. And it's like, I just want to read the story. Stop it. It was just so annoying. Which, by the way, Speechify. Have you used Speechify before? I don't know if I've talked about it on the show before.
I don't think so.
But they added a Safari extension now, so that when you go to a website that you would want to read an article on or whatever, down in the lower right hand corner there is a play button, and when you hit that play button, it gives you the ability to access your controls for like what voice you wanted to use and the speed that you wanted to read at and stuff like that. But they put it in Safari. You used to have to like go to the Speechify app after you've copied the URL, paste it into the Speechify app, and then it would put it into the app, and then you could read it there. But now they do it right in Safari, which is total game changer. I love it.
Nice.
So yeah, be very careful with the trial though, the free trial, because it bit me the other day. I had to end up requesting a refund from Apple, and no joke, I got $177 refunded back to me about 3 days later because of the normal price on that is $139.
Holy cow.
But I went to restore my purchases on a second device and it charged me again. And so I had to go and like figure that all out and then ask for a refund. And, it was just a bunch of hoopla I had to go through to get that straightened out. So just
it's a
buyer
beware
beware
of money too. So,
oh no, $139 is quite a bit of money. If what I would recommend is the first time that you go into the app, don't do this a second time because that's part of what bit me on this. And you have the legit 3-day trial, go in there, sign up for the $139, subscription with the 3-day trial. And within that 3-day trial, go in and cancel it and then go back into your subscriptions. And if you go into Speechify in your subscriptions, there's a whole list of different, like there's a dyslexia donation and different things, like different things that you can get a year subscription from. And you can get a year subscription for like $30. So you don't have to pay the $139 or whatever for it. Nice. So, but you've got to be really careful if you put it on a second device to not do that 3-day trial again. And go in and restore from your current trial. It's a little bit goofy the way they've got it set up, but if you're careful, you can get that to work. So,
pro tips,
good stuff, me friends. But no, Speechify is awesome. I love it because I can't just sit and read. I have to listen and read at the same time. Just the way my brain works. So
sounds good.
So I see one of the first item that you have on here is what could a studio line from Apple look like?
Right. Okay. So we got the Studio Mac, or the Mac Studio, sorry, and then the Studio Display. And I was listening to Connected from a couple weeks ago, just the other day, because I'm behind. And Mike and Federico were talking about it because Federico sent out a tweet like, "Oh, an iPod Studio and a a HomePod studio, and like all of these other sort of silly things. Like the main serious idea being an iPad studio, but they have like specifically on that show have latched onto this studio idea. And one of them, the rumor that we've talked about in the show already, was that your AirPods Max were originally AirPods Studio, right?
Right.
And so like there's some historical rumors that tie to the current products that just got announced that have led to speculation of, well, could there be a studio line that lives in between the normal stuff and the pro line?
Right.
And I think there's totally room for that. One, because I hope it would drive the normal line prices down a little bit. So like the basic MacBook Air, the iPad Air, the Mac Mini, that sort of stuff would be lower end, hopefully, in cost. And then you could have the studio stuff sitting in the middle, and then the pro stuff they can charge an arm and a leg for.
Whatever
which,
they
I mean, they already do, right? But I think by adding a third tier, you really open yourselves up to more of an audience, but specifically that middle tier can catch a lot of people, right?
Yeah.
And you can leave the basic stuff for students or, people that just need to check email and surf the web, and like, stuff that an iPad Air or a MacBook Air are really, really, really good at, that aren't creating, videos or pictures or doing, audio or, any sort of art, like, like someone in a studio might do.
Mm-hmm.
So they just started talking about it. I was like, man, this is a really interesting concept just to think about. It's just a fun thought exercise. And so, obviously, like, I don't think an iPod studio is ever going to get made, right? Like that's
right.
That product is dead and gone. But the concept specifically to me of like an iPad studio, like a 16 to 18 inch iPad,
mm-hmm.
like that could be really interesting. You know what I mean? Or what have you. So I was just curious, what your thoughts on, the studio stuff thus far, coupled with the rumors or people's just, fantasies could be. But like, what are your thoughts on this? And is this thought exercise dumb? Should we wait until there's another studio product to prove that this is a trend, or, all of that? Tell me, Mitch, what's going on?
I think what's most likely is we're going to see. I really do think that they're going to rebrand the AirPods Max as AirPods Studio in the next line. I think it makes way more sense. The Max designation is so clumsy to say, and it seems so weird. I think the studio, that should have been Studio in the beginning. So I think from that point of view, I think that would be the most likely next item to get that name. I think it's interesting to think about MacBooks and like a MacBook Studio that could fall between I still think that they're going to drop the MacBook Air name. I think I would like to see them drop the MacBook Air name and just go to MacBook, and then your line would be MacBook, MacBook Studio, and MacBook Pro. And MacBook Pro would be the one where they could put the Pro and the Max chips into that would have the super crazy speeds on it. The
you mean like the Max and the Ultra chips?
Oh, even the Max and Ultra. Yeah. I mean,
that would have to go to Pro, right?
Right. And the only concern I have with the Ultra is the cooling, because if that thing gets revved up, it's going to get hot.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, they're smart people; they can figure it out. But if they put an Ultra into a MacBook enclosure, that might be a little bit weird and difficult to cool that. So, but
right. But I get, yeah. So let me ask you this: what would be the difference in your mind between a MacBook Studio and a MacBook Pro?
Maybe your Studio line is like your kid's going off to college and needs a halfway decent laptop, so maybe that fits in that Air spot. But maybe just a little bit revved up. But maybe that's where you have your colors. That's where you have the fun with the line. And it's not perfect because that's kind of where the Air is positioned right now. And if we're looking at doing a Mac line that just runs like an M2 chip, Let's assume that if they did this, it would be moved on to the M2 or M3 at that point. But let's say that's an M2 chip. Then you have an M2 Pro that would be available for the studio line, Pro, and maybe the Max. And then if they can figure out the Max and Ultra for the high end, the Pro, that would be another thing. But I think you can also talk about size. Maybe they don't offer a 15-inch in the studio. They just offer the 13-inch. And then they offer a 15-inch, and maybe we have the return of the 17-inch. Or maybe we go to a touchscreen in the Pro versions. That a lot of people have talked about wanting that. I don't know if Apple will ever do that, but that would be a way to differentiate the line as well.
Yeah.
So
I think the other option too would be IO supports,
that could definitely be a big thing.
Mm-hmm. Maybe they throw an SD card reader back in the studio.
Sure.
Just, and like one USB-A, just in case, people say want to connect a MIDI device via USB for music production. Yeah, it would be really interesting to see how they would differentiate. I think size is one that I had thought of. I hadn't thought about the color thing. I think that's a great point too. And then probably the other thing would be starting storage, right? Or like I would imagine the low end probably only goes up to 256, right? And then the studio you can get up to a terabyte or two, and then the Pro you can get up to like the 6 or 8 terabyte SSDs, right?
I did want to address the iPad or the idea of the iPad Studio.
Mm-hmm.
I know that what they were talking about on Connected about this is they kind of wanted the iPad Studio to be something along the lines of like the Surface Studio. But the problem with that is that it positions badly in the line then, because everywhere else it would be positioned between the Pro and the base level, whatever that is, the iPad Air, and then and so I think what you'd probably end up looking at is like a Pro, but something that is a little lesser Pro. So maybe you have the M1 chip in the iPad Air, you have the M1 Pro in the studio model, and maybe they can figure out a way to do the M1 Max in the Pro. But then I always also think that with the iPad, you're definitely talking size. That's going to be the big thing. And I think you do make a good point with like a 15, 16, 17 inch. So you have the 12.9, which is your small Pro model. And then you have something in a 15 or 16 inch. And maybe this comes in like the Surface Studio style where you have like a drafting table type setup.
I was going to say, because if it's going to get that big, then it needs to be able to be on a table like that.
Yeah. So maybe it disconnects really easily. So if you do want to take it, because they still got the iPad branding that they want to maintain, which is a portable device.
Yeah, but like it's probably not going to come with the Magic Keyboard because that's, right. I mean, but like maybe it has a drafting style stand that it magnetizes to, right? Then it pops off and you flip it around and it props it up like a proper like monitor, so you could watch a movie on it, with a friend or whatever. So and like a 30 to 40 degree angle for the drafting, and then like an 80 degree angle on the backside for viewing.
And the even crazier notion, they ship it with a Magic Keyboard and mouse or trackpad. And so you're doing your work. It's much more like the idea of a Surface Studio device. Which, by the way, I got to play with one the other day.
How was that?
Pastor's got one. It actually is kind of a neat device. I know it didn't really sell.
Did he have that weird Microsoft like dial control?
Yeah, he did.
Okay, I need to know all about this.
So the dial control, like he set it on the screen and it popped up a little menu that he could roll around. Well, the menu is kind of hard to see because his hand was in the way. But when he had it sitting on the desk, he could tap the top of it and it pulled up just a little like quick menu that he could then rotate around on the device. I don't know that there were actually any moving parts on it, but somehow it sensed him moving it and just rolled around the dial, and then he could tap on it to select whatever it is that he rolled to, whatever feature he wanted to change. Maybe he wanted to change the volume or whatever, and then he just spun the dial or spun it around and it changed the whatever it was that he was adjusting. So it was really interesting. Yeah. We what we were doing was we were hooking it up to use it during the his sermons, so he could
Mhm.
put scripture up on the screen and annotate as he's talking about it. So, but I think it'll be kind of cool.
How
So,
big of the screen is it?
um, so I'm sitting in front of my 27-inch here, and it was probably pretty close to this size, maybe a little bit taller. I'm not sure. I thought it was like a 22-inch screen. For some reason that jumps out, but that seems small to me.
Mhm.
Um, I'm not sure how big that. Maybe I'd have to ask him and report back. But it felt to me like it was about the same size as my iMac, but maybe just a little bit taller. So a little bit different screen size.
Is it the Surface One or the Surface Two?
I
Sorry,
don't know.
Bro, I'm trying to look online.
I know I get you, but I'm going to assume that it's one of the newer models, but I don't know that.
Boy, come on, internet.
Him and I finally
Surface
looked at him.
Studio 2 was $3,500.
Yeah, he didn't pay that much for it. I can guarantee you that. I'm sure he got
28-inch display is the Surface Studio 2.
Yeah, that makes sense then. Yeah, because that would be probably roughly the size of this, maybe a little bit taller. Get that extra inch. So it makes sense. But no, he cracked it. He made a crack the other day about running a PC and well, I probably wouldn't have this problem if I had a Mac. And he kind of makes these little jabs every once in a while. I finally looked at him. I was like, dude, I don't run Mac because I hate Windows. I run Mac because I like Macs. I was like, there are things that I don't like about Windows, which is why I run a Mac, but it's not. I don't feel like emotional about it. And he just looked at me, like, oh, I just hate Windows or hate Mac rather. Like, oh, okay, whatever. He felt wronged by owning an iPhone years ago, and he harbors bitterness about it. So, it is what it is.
Okay.
Man, if it made sense, I could maybe do something about it, but it doesn't. All right. I love him.
I guess we'll have to.
He's a good man, but
yeah,
we differ in that area.
That's well, good thing people have options for their personal computing and telecommunication needs. But yeah, so studio, we'll see what happens. But it's fun to think about. You know what I mean? And we've got a while before any new hardware is going to be announced because we got WWDC in June, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so they're probably not going to announce any new hardware. Really, I mean, they announced that the Mac Pro is coming, but that's not going to be a studio thing because that's the Mac Pro, right? So we're at least looking until the fall, really. But I mean, that's iPhones, maybe a new iPad Pro. Although they just released the Air. So it could be a while before we see anything.
Yeah, I don't know if we'll see any actual hardware until the fall at this point.
Yeah, that's probably a safe bet unless they're going to really shake things up, which
I mean, they could do something with a Mac Pro at WWDC. I mean, they've done it before. It just seems like just doesn't seem like the way they've done things the last few years. So, but if they're going to do something crazy with the Mac Pro and the M series chips and all this stuff, that they may want some time on the stage for that, and WWDC would be a good fit for it. So if they don't have a lot of updates in the software, they might have time for it. So,
well, and if they don't have a lot of updates in software specifically around iPad OS, I think a lot of people are gonna not be happy. So
well, I think in general, I think that with them working from home and COVID and stuff like that, I'm not sure what the development cycles look like.
And I didn't stop them from taking the Mac to the moon.
No, not at all. But I'm just saying that I think there's been a little bit less. There might have been a little bit less focus on the software updates more stability, more, getting it ready for the M stuff, the M series stuff. I think that a lot of this legal stuff that they've been dealing with is taking time away from um, software updates and stuff too, because they're having to code in alternative payment stuff and do a lot of thinking about that. So I kind of wonder if we're not going to see something at WWDC about alternative payments, or because there was just something in the news this last week about them opening up the ability for reader apps um, to have links to an outside website. But they just made a rule change about that. So now, like, if Netflix wants to put a link in the app to go to netflix.com to sign up for an account, they can do that. So where they couldn't do that before. So they're making some modifications, but but I do kind of wonder, do they find a way to allow sideloading safely? This is a company that has done a lot of interesting things. Did they find a way to make this work that we don't see coming? That could be interesting.
We'll see. All I know is that the MacBooks run on the same chips as the iPads, and you can do things on a MacBook that you can't do on an iPad. And I get that they're different operating systems, but it is no longer a CPU or GPU or anything like that issue. It is solely Apple's decision what they will allow you to do on an iPad versus what they will allow you to do on a Mac. And I've said this many, 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 many times before, and I will continue to say it again. I want Final Cut and I want Logic on an iPad. That would be glorious.
Mm-hmm.
But I also want it to be done well. And if that means I have to wait 4 years for it to be done well, then fine. I'll shut up. But like,
no, to be fair, you'll complain about it until it happens. But
I just, it's
okay. Yeah.
They run the same system on a chip as a MacBook.
So I did find that third question there kind of interesting. Did you want to pose that?
Yeah, if you couldn't buy another piece of tech for the next 5 years, what would you buy today?
So today's my last day to buy anything for the next 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
So I just updated my iPad. So I think I'm going to be good with my iPad mini. So I'll get that on Monday. I'm really happy with my... Now, how far reaching does this go? Like anything from Apple?
Yeah.
Okay, so this includes...
I mean, it doesn't even have to be technically an Apple product, just a technology.
Oh, just a tech project in general.
If you cannot buy a single technology product for the next 5 calendar years, what is the technology product you are buying today to get you through those 5 years?
All right. So my first thought, if it was going to be an Apple product, I was going to say the MacBook Pro, like a 14-inch MacBook Pro. But if you're opening it up to anything, man, we have a TV upstairs that I could really stand to get a bigger TV. And I think that would be the device that I would probably update. I think I could live with this laptop for 5 years if I had to. It might be garbage in 5 years, but but it's 3 years old, and I spent 7 years with my last laptop, so my last MacBook. So I think this one could last 8 years if I needed to. But I think it would be between those two things. I think I would probably have to lean towards that the TV. We got a 40-inch right now. We moved into a larger home from the apartment that we lived in when I bought the TV. So to get something in a 55 to 65 inch and mount it on the wall where we're at, that sort of thing would be a better size for that room, and would be good. So I think that would probably have to be my choice. Were you thinking something?
So I think and this is obviously if I had the funds to do so, right?
Mhm.
Like,
Well,
my first thought was,
let's just assume, you're not buying anything in the next 5 years. So if you needed to finance something, the money will be
so my first thought was a Tesla, right?
Tesla.
But I just got a new car in July of this,
Okay.
of 2021. So, and I love my car dearly. So that's not going to happen. So I think I would honestly, I would get the Mac Studio.
Yeah. Okay.
Because that's for sure going to last.
Yeah. Be the most future-proofed.
What?
It'd be the most future-proofed for you.
Yeah, and if I needed to at that point, I could sell my MacBook Air and just run the studio and an iPad Pro and have everything that I need, right? If I need to edit video or audio, Mac Studio, photos, Mac Studio or iPad, I have my powerful beast of a computer, to run all my music stuff, right? Like, so I've got my guitars, my bass, my MIDI keyboard, my drum pad, like all of that sort of stuff could all run through the Mac Studio as well. All the podcasting, and then I've got the iPad Pro for when I, need to travel or go to the coffee shop just to get out of my house. Because oh my gosh, I need to get out of my house, Mitch.
Yeah.
So I think that would be what I would do. But luckily, neither of us have to do this. So I'll stick with my MacBook Air for as long as I can.
Nice. All right.
But it is an interesting question to propose. Because, the second, like if we actually pull the trigger on this and we're like, oh, next 5 years, I'm not buying anything, like 6 months later. Oh my God.
What was I thinking? Why didn't I wait?
The iPad Studio comes out and we're all just like drooling.
Mm-hmm. So
anyways,
to be honest with you, the iPad Studio, that device would not be for me. I'm really satisfied with the iPad Mini being my consumption device and doing my work on my iMac and my MacBook. And when I say MacBook, I have a MacBook Pro. So I just always shorten it to MacBook. All right. Well, what's delighting you today, Cam?
What's delighting me? I think just I've been spending more time with friends and getting out of the house more because I'm just ignoring the fact that spring refuses to start and it's just been cold and I've just been cooped up for so long all winter. Mm-hmm. That I've been forcing myself to get out of the house, to go work at a coffee shop, to go work at my office at church, to essentially invite myself over to friends' houses.
Sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do, man.
Yeah, right. It's like I've just been so cooped up and I'm so ready. And don't get me wrong, I love the winter. I do. But it's April and we had snow on the ground. So I'm just gonna force, I've seen people wearing flip-flops. It was rainy and 40 and people were in flip-flops. So they're just we will make it winter. If we dress if we dress like it's spring, eventually it'll warm up. And so I think a lot of us, are just at that point where we're okay, winter was great. It is now time to move on. And the trees are starting to bud, but it's still in the 30s at night, and so we're just kind of trapped in that in between. And we've had really nice days in the 60s and low 70s, and then it drops to 40 the next day. And it's, you know what I'm talking about. Mm-hmm. And so I've just been, I suppose, trying to force myself out of the house and trying to spend more time with friends and just, enjoying not being in my house by myself, especially since I work from home. I don't get the social interaction I would if I had to go to, an office or a work location. And so it's just trying to force the social interaction, which is good for me because I already tend to isolate anyways. And so I found myself, we do an arts and music program on Thursdays at our church that when I don't have Kennedy, I will go to take pictures. So at the end of the year, when they do the recital and art show, we can have pictures going on the TVs, throughout the year.
Mhm.
But like we had missed like 3 in a row because it like only snowed on a Thursday. And so if schools were closed, we cancel. We just follow the schools. And of course, like so 3 Thursdays when I didn't have Kennedy. So every 3 out of 6 Sunday or Thursdays, we just couldn't meet because the weather just decided to be bad only on a Thursday, and it was fine. It was super annoying. So like I hadn't been in like a month and a half. So the other night I was just like, I was like, I'm just gonna go and I'm not even gonna take pictures. I'm just gonna hang out because it's Thursday and I haven't had any physical interaction with another human since Sunday at church because I've been at home,
Mhm.
and so I'm trying to, yeah, I am enjoying spending time with. That was a really, really long-winded answer, and I'm sure I repeated myself like 5 times, so I'm sorry, but just enjoying time with friends and frankly, even people that aren't friends, just strangers. They're part of, you know, just the community. So
So I will admit that as much as I want to work from home, that is one thing that worries me is just becoming so isolated. And you get your church time, but right now, if I go to work, I'm with people all day. For the
Mhm.
most part. I work alone a lot at work too, but I have people around me. I have physical contact. Well, physical contact as in I talk to people.
Mhm.
Not I'm not hugging everybody or anything weird like that,
No, but they're in your proximity,
but they're in
right?
my
There's
proximity, yeah. So and and I've got my wife at home too, which is fine. I love spending time with her. Being on vacation here the last week and a half, her and I have done a lot of cool stuff together, and it's been fun. But I can imagine sitting in my studio 8 hours a day doing a job could get lonely. So I totally get you.
yeah, I mean, like I have meetings and stuff, but it's not the same.
No, it's not physical contact.
Exactly. Like,
So
us doing this podcast over Zoom is totally different than if I were in the studio with you. You know what I mean?
and
It'd be a totally different vibe.
this is something it's easy to say that you and I haven't met
Mhm.
because we've only ever talked online. So I mean I know we know each other, but I think a lot of times people will look at that and say, well, so you haven't really met him yet, because
Mhm.
we haven't been in the same physical location together. So, but it's weird. So,
What about you? What you got for us?
um, so I'm gonna have to give you a review after it releases because it releases on Tuesday. But I am super excited about Lego Star Wars: The Skywalker Saga coming out on various platforms, and it's on my Switch. So I already already pre-ordered it, and if you look, it's right at the second one over there. I've been playing a lot of
Oh, there
Mario
you go.
Kart. Um, but
Is that Knights of the Old Republic on there
the
too?
Knights of the Old Republic, yeah, I've got that
Nice.
on here. So I'm stuck right now. I can't figure out where I'm supposed to go next. But anyway, but I'm super excited about that. This is supposed to be the best Lego Star Wars game ever, and I have to say that I really haven't played one up till now. So all the reviews, all the people that have had hands on with it, I've watched some gameplay that is on YouTube, and it just looks really cool and really fun. So I'm really looking forward to getting a hold of that. It comes out this Tuesday, April 5th, and I pre-ordered the deluxe edition, so I'll have 7 character packs that come along with that normally you'd have to get separately. So I'm pretty jazzed about that. It's going to be good.
Can we get some jazz hands to show how jazzed you are? Those were not nearly vigorous enough, Mitch.
So I hope that I can't do them any better. So, but
Very
I
good.
will
Well,
say that the Switch came back out because Mario Kart 8 Deluxe has added new courses. So for $25, you can get new courses, and they're adding them as they finish them. From what it looks like, so they've got 2 new courses with a promise of, um, shoot, I think it's like maybe 10 courses total or 12. I don't recall exactly, but between now and the end of next year, they're going to be rolling out every one of these new courses. So it'll be like Christmas, and we'll have a new one drop, and be fun. So they've got 2 out so far. They're fun. I had a good time playing them. They changed some of the maps that are, or some of the courses rather, that are on. Do they call them tracks?
I honestly, I haven't played Mario Kart in probably 8
Okay.
years.
But we'll go with courses. I don't know. But they've updated some of them too, along with this change. So there's a few of them that, man, they look gorgeous. Like, they look so much better than they did before. And I think part of the reason is that when they came out with the Switch, they call it the Switch Pro or whatever, with the OLED screen, they're taking better advantage of the blacks on there. So
you know what I would love though?
what would you love?
Mario Kart on my Quest, my Oculus Quest.
Oh gosh, I think I'd throw up.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
When I play it, I'm only playing it like 100 cc. They have tracked, or they have the speeds of 150 and 200 cc. The 100 cc, like, I'm drifting around these corners, and it's just like super fast. So I haven't played the 150 cc yet. I've been trying to get 3 stars on all the tracks up till now. So, and then the 150 cc will be the next challenge. But
I bet the 200 cc is both fast and furious.
yeah, I would go with that. That'd be crazy. I'm such a dork.
Yeah, I agree. Vin Diesel is a dork. Anyways, before we close this out, have you done today's Wordle yet?
I have not.
Ooh, well, I'm gonna send you a little something here, Mitch.
Oh my, dude! Usually, the first 2 are just my, like, what letters are in this one. All right, so I'm gonna have to edit this down, but I'm playing it right away.
What the listener doesn't know is that I got today's Wordle on my second guess, which I will be honest with you. I had 1 vowel and 2 consonants, and I just took a shot in the dark and freaking nailed it. It was total luck. It was total luck. And I may have gotten very excited about it when it happened. I think there might have been a couple of fist pumps and a heck yes as I was laying in bed this morning.
Well, I'm already on my 3rd guess. You already did better. I've got 3 letters right now.
Which ones do you have?
T, O, and R.
Ah.
I have 2 words that I always start with, and it gives me 4 out of the 5 vowels. So if I don't feel like I got all the vowels, now I got to figure out if there's an E in it. Which did you get that one the other day that I said was so hard?
I think so.
I can just tell you, it was nymph.
Yeah, I got that one.
Yeah. So I'm like, there's no vowels in this word.
Yeah, why, bro?
So I ended up like, okay, it must have a Y in it. So what letters do I have so far? And I had a few. I was like, oh no, let me try nymph once. And I typed it in, and boom, I got it.
Well, yeah, I had the PH, and there are no vowels but Y. And I was like, oh, it's glyph, GLYPH. And I was like, oh, but G and L aren't options. Oh no.
The R is not at the end of the word.
This is true. It's not.
And the T and the O are not where it would be nice and clean that they would be. All I can think of is that it starts with the R. I'm going to have to cut all this out, I know. I just dropped a marker in our recording so that I can go back and edit this all out. Because I'm going to edit it together and make it sound like it only took me a few minutes to figure it out. So.
Yes. This is true. But the people watching on YouTube will know the truth.
Oh, for sure. And then you can watch my cat here looking around. Barely see his head here. Dude, every time I try to point the camera down, you put your head down. Weirdo. All right. And I want to ask you, but then I can't because that would ruin the fun.
That would be cheating, Mitch.
Perhaps, but I'm not above it.
Okay, I'll give you one hint. It doesn't start with Q.
That's a good hint. Thank you. Now I know that I don't need to use a Q. Oh, is it? All right. Well, I tried retro and I've all but the second R is in the word. So now I know that I've got an E and an O in the word. Mm-hmm. And the R is not in the proper spot. So you get this weird feeling I'm not gonna get this one.
I feel like I'm putting undue pressure on you just by watching.
Oh, nope, I got it. Trope.
And number 5, nice. Yeah, I got the O on the first guess, like the specific location, and then I knew that there was a P and a T in it.
No, I got it in 4.
Oh, in 4.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, so I had the O, and I knew that I had a P and a T, but based on where the O was, and so my first guess was spout, so I knew I couldn't use an S or a U, and I was like, well, it doesn't start with a P then. I was like, and that means, and I know the T can't go last, and so the T's not going to go second, so the T's got to go first. I was like, oh, trope, and then it just started turning green, and I was like, oh my god, what luck!
I'm waiting for one of my normal words to become or to be the word.
Yeah, I think the day where you type in the first word and you just get all, like, you hit it on the first try.
It's like
I think you just do whatever you want the rest of the day. Like, the day is already won. Yep. You are king for that day.
I'm a king for a day. That's
indeed.
Very cool. So I hope all our listeners enjoyed listening to us play Wordle.
Mm-hmm. It's it is a game that lends itself to the audio medium quite well.
Right. And I definitely didn't edit it down for length. So,
I wish that Wordle did give you, like, on a slightly serious note.
Yeah.
Did give you some like audio feedback.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, if you get like a gray letter, like a Family Feud X noise, and then if you get like a yellow, it's like, oh, and if you get a green one, it's like, like, it would be a little more engaging if you could get the audio cues.
So
as the letters were revealed.
I got to tell you, I thought really seriously about just grabbing the Family Feud sound effects for our predictees.
Oh, yes.
You got a ding.
Oh my gosh.
And if you didn't, you got a
100%. And then we got to get a clip of Steve Harvey just being really disappointed.
So, okay.
You said what?
So in the spirit of Connected talking about the rules for their Rickies this last week, which if you haven't heard the episode is kind of funny. I have thought about what we would do for WWDC or any of the events going forward, and leaving the predictees, wide open for us to pick whatever we want. I know doesn't always, I don't know. It's a little weird. I almost thought about, well, what if we just had 5 questions that would relate to the event. So like iOS 16 is going to include this, or what feature do you think iOS 15 is going to include? And then we each have to pick a feature that we think it'll have. Or something along those lines, and do like 5 questions, and then we'd have like 3 wild card rounds where we could pick just our whatever we wanted to pick. And then maybe have like the annual predictees round where we can choose a predictee that we chose, and then we'd figure out the point values for those.
So we'd have some structure, but still the capability to make some buck wild decisions if we needed to.
Correct.
Okay, as long as I have the opportunity to totally beef it, I'm good with it. Mm-hmm. Like I did in the last predictees. Just absolutely beefed it.
Yeah. So how we would do the point structure on that, we'd have to come to an agreement on, but we could definitely do some fun stuff with the point structure too. So I'm not opposed to like doing 10 points per question, and then having that kind of that wild of a sliding scale when it comes to making like making wagers on our like a wild card round or whatever. So
yeah, we can nail down that stuff. But yeah, I like it. We're heading in a good direction, I think.
Yeah, well, I want to do something. We've kind of structured it after a couple of different podcasts that we listen to, and kind of, I'm easing into making it our own. So that we have something a little different than the way the other guys do it. And unfortunately, too many guys already do it, so it's really hard to be like terribly unique. But
we're gonna have to get to the point where we have to make our predictions in like Klingon just to be different. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we're not gonna do that. But yeah, so
you may not. Don't put me in the corner.
I'm not gonna do it. So. All right, well, let's wrap this thing up. If you guys want to check us out online, you can check out the Inner Dialogue podcast at innerdialogue.show. You can find our back catalog, and also there's links there to subscribe to us on all your favorite podcasting clients, even if your favorite isn't Overcast, although it is mine. So, but you can check that out at innerdialogue.show. If you got questions, comments, you want to know more about us, you can check us out on our individual websites that, of course, have all our social accounts linked to them. Mine is at mitchcraig.online.
Mine is cambrennan.com.
All right. Well, you know where to find us, and hopefully you enjoyed the show today. Feel free to let us know what you think, either on Twitter, Instagram, wherever. All right. I'm Mitch Craig. That's Cam Brennan. You guys have a great week. Have a good one, man.
Farewell.